Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. Now, what is a companion video? Well, I'm glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campea Show, we take some time and take live questions, but we don't always have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. I want to make sure those questions get answered in a video, so I gather up those questions we didn't have time for, and I address them here on companion videos. Now, these companion questions that we're going to get around to today are from this morning's show. That was Wednesday, March the 6th. That's the questions we're going to get caught up on now. So let's not waste any more time and dive right into it. And the first question today that we're going to get to getting caught up on comes to us from James Bonner, who writes, just saw Noises Off, great movie. Dude, I often say I have two number one favorite comedies of all time. And they kind of change place. There's 1A and 1B, and some days one is 1A and sometimes the other is 1A. But at whatever order, one is always 40-Year-Old Virgin, and the other is Noises Off. Michael Caine, John Ritter, Christopher Reeve, Carol Burnett. It is amazing. I love this little comedy, and I'm glad you went out and finally watched it, Jane. I love that movie. Absolutely love it. So I'm glad you checked it out. All right, next one up is Don Stellato writes, what franchise are you most excited about when a new entry comes out? Oh, that's easy. Star Wars. Star Wars. I mean, I live and breathe Star Wars. My earliest childhood memory is Star Wars. Even when Star Wars sucks and there's crappy stuff at Star Wars that I don't like, even then I get excited about it. Even when it's a movie I don't think they should have even ever made in the first place, like Solo, I'm still there opening day. For sure I am. And, you know, I don't like prequel stuff, but they could come out tomorrow and announce they're doing Jar Jar Binks, The Beginning. They could announce that, and I'll be there opening day with bells on. I mean, it just is. I'll probably hate it, but it doesn't matter. It's Star Wars. I'm going to be there. So that easy for me. Easy. It's Star Wars. All right, let's move on here. Sam Ernst writes, saw an excellent double feature yesterday. Apollo 11. Ooh, that's the new documentary, right? I got to see that. And Captain Marvel, both in IMAX. That's a good double feature. I've already seen Captain Marvel. My review for it is up on the channel. You guys have seen that already. But I am really intrigued by this Apollo 11. So for those of you who don't know anything about it, these filmmakers basically came across this treasure box of all this old footage before it's the Apollo 11 mission. That's Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin going to the moon, that Apollo 11. And they put a documentary together about it, and I'm dying to see it. I cannot wait. So you obviously had a chance to see it. Nice double feature with Captain Marvel, too. That's a good one, William. All right, Cal-L writes, thank you, John, Rob, and Ashley for all the great work. Well, thank you so much, Cal. We appreciate that. Listening/watching you guys every day just makes my day. I always learn something new. Number 500 episode. Yeah, that's something that came up on the show today. It's about 15 minutes before I started the show today. I got a number of messages from people saying, John, did you know that today's episode of the John Campea Show is your 500th episode? And I'm like, can't be. But I guess it is. I haven't looked myself. I haven't double checked, but I got everybody writing in and thanking and congratulating me on 500 episodes. It is kind of crazy. Like when I went out on my own and decided to do this on my own, I didn't know if it would last a month. I didn't know if it would last 6 weeks. Here we are at 500 episodes down, and here's hoping another 500 to come. So thank you so much, Cal-L. I appreciate that, man. All right. Zach Kearney writes, currently a Walt Disney World cast member. Oh, that's awesome. And I'm applying to be on the Galaxy's Edge opening team. Desperately hope I get in. So for those, first of all, that's awesome that you work at Disneyland or Disney World. That's the Orlando one. I live by Disneyland here in California. But so Galaxy's Edge, for those of you who don't know, that is the Star Wars land. That's the name for Star Wars land that they're opening up. And, I mean, Ann and I, we used to have annual passes for Disneyland. We eventually kind of decided not to renew them. And just because we weren't getting out there enough, you know. I mean, Anaheim's not that far. We can be at Disneyland in an hour. We can hop in the car, be there in an hour. But we just weren't using it enough. And we really do like Universal Studios Hollywood. We've got annual memberships there, and they're like way, way cheaper. But we always said, as soon as they announce Star Wars Land, we'll be getting our annual passes again. Whatever they cost, we will be getting our annual passes to Disneyland again, because I'll probably be going at least once every 2 weeks. So I cannot wait for that. Zach, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, buddy, that you're able to get on that opening team for that, because that would be something special. All right. Don Salata writes, spoiler alert for Solo. Okay, guys, you've been warned. Apparently there's a spoiler for the Solo movie in here. Since we saw Darth Maul in the end of Solo, do you think we might see Maul pop up again in a future film? Would be nice to see a Sith who knows how to use a lightsaber. I don't disagree. But I don't think we will. Now, let's not forget, just because he's alive at that period of time in Solo, he dies before the events of Star Wars A New Hope. We know this from the show Star Wars Rebels, where Darth Maul confronted Obi-Wan Kenobi once again in the desert of Tatooine, and Obi-Wan kills him. So we know he's dead by then. Could they do something else? Prequel era? Well, first of all, I'm getting tired of all the prequel crap, personally. Solo was a movie that never should have been made. Nobody was interested in it. And, I mean, it flopped. It lost money. And, you know, I don't think they will. I think maybe they had an idea for something in the future, but I got a feeling those ideas got scrapped. And so I'm going to guess, it's just a guess. I don't know. I'm just guessing wildly here like everybody else. My guess would be no. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to see some great lightsaber fights, but you don't have to keep going back to the Darth Maul well, because Star Wars has done that over and over again. He died in The Phantom Menace. Then they came up with some convoluted way in Clone Wars that, oh, he didn't die. Then they used him a bunch in Clone Wars. Then they had him in Rebels. And then they used him again in Solo. And then, at some point, you got to let the character go. I love the character too. And I wouldn't be against it, but I don't think they're going to do it. So that's just my guess. Again, pure guess. I don't have any conviction on that. Just pure guess. All right. DBZ now writes, when should we expect a Joker trailer? Well, dude, I'll tell you what I've been telling everybody who asks me all the time about when should we expect X trailer. Who cares? Who cares? It's a corporately produced piece of manipulation designed to get your money from you. That's what trailers are. And I love them, but who cares? They'll give it to us when they give it to us. I mean, it's a commercial we're talking about here. Who cares? My guess would be, if I had to take a random guess, let's see, June, July, August, September, October, maybe May, like 5 months out. I don't think I mean, you know me guys, right? I personally recognize that there is no point in putting out trailers 10 months in advance, putting out trailers a year in advance. It makes no impact on the movie. It's too far out. You lose all your buzz from it way too soon. There's no point in promoting a movie heavy until you get to within about the 5 or 6 month mark. So I'm going to take a wild guess and guess May, but I don't care. I mean, I'm excited to see it, but it's a commercial. If they show it to us 1 month before the movie comes out, which is in October, then great. If they show it to us 3 months before the movie comes out, then great. I really don't care. But my guess will be about 5 months. So I'm going to guess May. Just a wild guess, but I'm going to guess May. But I am excited to see the movie, though, DBZ. I'm quite excited to see the movie. All right. Braxis616 writes, love that Sony, unlike Warner Brothers, gets things done. Well, do they? Do they? Remember the whole Sinister Six they were going to do? Remember Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 they were going to do with John Malkovich's Vulture? Remember how they were planning for, Amazing Spider-Man 3? I mean, every studio plans things that don't happen. Warner Brothers like Flash, right? But hey, they just put out an Aquaman movie that made over $1 billion that some people didn't even think would make $800 million. And it made $1 billion, $1.1 billion. They had put out a really successful Wonder Woman film. Maybe not so successful Justice League, but they put it out. I mean, let's not say that Warner Brothers doesn't get things done. Have they had a lot of projects that have kind of come and gone with the wind that we never heard of again? Sure, but hey, if they never got anything done, what's Aquaman? What is that? They got it done. What's Shazam? They got it done. Wonder Woman 84, Patty Jenkins. Apparently they got it done, or they're almost finished getting it done. So let's not be let's not be too harsh on Warner Brothers. Let's not pretend Sony never had any projects in the works that didn't fall away, and that everything Warner Brothers ever tries to do falls apart. Everybody's got their films. Hey, Marvel. Remember they were going to do a Inhumans movie? Wah, wah. Where's that Inhumans movie they were talking about, guys? Where's the Inhumans movie? Remember that? So every studio's got them. Granted, it's happened to Warner Brothers a little bit more. That's only because I think they had a PR bad decision about talking about movies that they were developing way far ahead in advance when they really shouldn't have. But, I mean, yeah, it happens to DC a little bit more, but let's not pretend that it doesn't happen to everybody else too, because it does. All right. Pixar Fanification writes, thoughts on the new animated Scooby-Doo movie starring the Hanna-Barbera universe? I think look, if I'm being honest, I think it's a clever idea, and I don't care. Just being honest, I don't care about it. I really don't. Now, there have been several things that were in the works and coming that I couldn't care less about, and then I saw them and was blown away by them and loved them, right? Great. That could happen with Scooby-Doo. I mean, I certainly have a little bit of an increase in my Scooby-Doo nostalgia tick ever since Scooby Natural, when they merged Scooby-Doo with Supernatural. So that was one of the greatest episodes ever. But honestly, right now where I'm sitting, I really don't have any juice for a Scooby-Doo movie. I just don't care. Now, I'll watch it, and I'll evaluate it on its own terms, and maybe I'll love it. But yeah, to be honest, right now, I don't have a lot of care other than, oh, that's kind of neat that they're doing that. Other than that, not much. Just being honest, I'm not saying nobody else should be excited. I'm just saying you asked me, so that's kind of where I'm at. All right. Froygon Jin writes, hello, John and Robert. I know that no movie needs a sequel, but tell me that whatever's inside you wouldn't be tickled by a Mathilda the Professional. You know what? I'll tell you what, Freud. There was a time when I really, number one, thought it really was going to happen. And number two, really, really wanted it to happen. But as year after year after year after year has gone by, I'm over it. Honestly, I'm over it. I mean, Leon the Professional is a masterpiece, but I no longer have any desire to see a follow-up. I think it's great the way it was. I'm fine with it leaving. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. Not at all. If they want to do it, great. But I don't know that I'd be all that tickled. I mean, I don't know. I say that, but I mean, if they announced, if I read in the Hollywood Reporter tomorrow that, Natalie Portman signed on to do the follow-up to The Professional, would I not at least grin? I don't know. So I can sit here and say, I think I'm over it. But how would I react if I found out they were doing it? I don't know. Maybe I would surprise myself and be more excited for it than I thought. But until I find myself in that situation, right now I'm going to say I'm kind of over it. But it'd be intriguing if they did it. And I would probably crack a grin if I found out Natalie Portman signed on for. I don't know. So who knows? Let's wait and see. Okay. XX Your Disease writes, will Matt Reeves' Batman use the line, I'm Batman? Why not? Why not? And it's not like, here's the thing. It's not like the line, I'm Batman, is some more obscure sort of slang saying like, cowabunga dude, or I'll be back, or martini, shaken, not stirred. I mean, how many times a day do you say, I'm Rick, I'm John, I'm Cynthia, I'm Batman? So, I mean, it's a line that he could put in there and it wouldn't feel awkward or forced. It's not like, oh, he's just forced in the phrase. I mean, because you can come up with a million different scenarios in which the Batman character can say, I'm Batman, or Bruce Wayne revealing to somebody, I'm Batman, or whatever. So I'm going to go out on a limb, basing it on nothing but pure fan speculation. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that, yes, we will hear Batman in Matt Reeves' Batman, if we ever see it. I'm going to bet, I'll say yes. I think we will hear him say it at one point or another. How he'll say it, what kind of context, who knows, but I'm going to guess he'll say it. All right. David Bet Sharhad writes, how would you handle the new Wolverine in the MCU? Would you introduce him in the first X-Men movie or the sequels, or do you just straight up introduce him in the new Solo movie? Well, I mean, that's hard to say because right now, I don't even think Kevin Feige has a clear picture on how mutants in general are going to fit into the MCU. So, without knowing what the plan is for the mutants in general, I mean, I don't know that I have a clear picture. All other things being equal, I introduce Wolverine in an X-Men movie. All other things being equal, I introduce him in an X-Men movie. That's traditionally what they did, and they had great success with it. Made Wolverine one of the most beloved characters in the movies. So if I was one of the lieutenants of Kevin Feige, and he said, John, I'm too busy here. You figure out how we're going to introduce Wolverine. Yes, sir, Mr. Feige. What I'll probably do then is just have him introduced with the X-Men. That's how I would do it now. But again, I might change that answer depending on how they set up this world. Because maybe that makes no sense. Depending on how they set up the mutant situation, all that kind of stuff, introducing Wolverine with the X-Men may not make sense. Or depending on how they set it up, maybe it makes perfect sense. I don't know. But all other things being equal, I introduce him in the X-Men. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, one of my best friends hates Inside Out. Ooh, that's a shame. And likes Pixels. That is a bigger shame. And we've always gotten along just fine. It helps that we can both slag on the DCU. Well, then I probably couldn't hang out with you because I like all the DCU movies, but whatever. I love Inside Out. I love that movie. And I detest Pixels. Pixels is terrible. But again, that's the beautiful thing about movies, man. Is that we all don't have the same opinion when it comes to them. Movies hit us in a certain way. Now, you've heard me explain it this way before, but it's true. When you put a spoonful of a new flavor of ice cream, right? You get a spoon of a new flavor of ice cream in your mouth. You don't decide if you like it or not. You don't have a choice. You can lie and say you like it. You can try to lie to yourself and say you like it, but the reality is you put that new flavor of ice cream in the spoon in your mouth and you take that ice cream and your body tells you if you like it or not, right? And it, like food, it hits us all in different ways. Somebody can take a bite of something really spicy and go, oh God, that's so good. The spice, it gives you that kick and it's so awesome. Then I can take a bite of the same thing and go, oh my God, because I am a wuss when it comes to spicy. Complete wuss. Or this guy. I can take a bite of something and go, oh, I'm going to die. And right. But, well, wait, it's the same thing. How is it eliciting so much pleasure for one person and so much pain and torture for another one? Because it just hits us. We are all made differently. And when an experience hits us, whether it's ice cream or a hot wing or a movie, it just hits us all in unique ways. And for your friend, Inside Out hit them in such a way that they didn't like it. Okay, that's fine. And for whatever reason, they watched Pixels and it gave them enjoyment. Great. And that's the most beautiful thing about movies. Some people think it's unfortunate that movies are purely subjective. It's not unfortunate. It's the best thing about movies. And I think the fact that you guys can disagree so harshly, yet get along on that, is great. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. All right. Murray Reich writes, I always wondered how come Regal doesn't have freestyle machines yet. Well, do they not? I guess, look, I'll be honest. I was in Nashville a while ago. And no AMC theaters in Nashville. I think it's just Regal. And I went to go see Project X. Yeah, so it was a few years ago. I went to go see Project X in Nashville at a Regal theater there. And I believe they had freestyle machines. Now, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, a freestyle machine is one of those things that have been popping up over the last few years. It's a big, like, soda machine with, like, 85 different combos of flavors in it, and you just pick on the thing and serve out your own soda so that the people behind the counter don't have to do it, and it keeps the lines moving faster. It's a great invention. I love it. But remember, theater chains can be different from city to city and location to location. So maybe just because the Regal close to you, or maybe even all the Regals in your city don't have them, doesn't necessarily mean all Regals don't. Now, I don't know for sure. I might not be remembering correctly, but I thought I remembered there being freestyle machines in Regal. that I was in. I could be wrong, but I'm sure we can just give a shout out to Regal and find out for sure. All right, let's see here. Jayden Perez writes, "Hey guys, have you seen the new Brightburn trailer?" Hot damn, yes I have. So this morning, as we're doing the John Campea show, a couple of people write in and goes, "Hey guys, the new Brightburn trailers just dropped." Now, obviously we can't stop the show and go watch the Brightburn trailer, so we finished out the show. But then I watched the Brightburn trailer. For those of you who do not know, Brightburn was a movie that got introduced to us a while back with a trailer when most people had never even heard. I knew James Gunn was working on something with his brothers and he was producing it and all this kind of stuff, and it was kind of horror in angle, but I didn't know much about it. And the first 30 seconds of the Brightburn trailer, the first one, makes it look like it's a Superman ripoff, like a total Superman ripoff. This farming couple, a comet, something falls out of the sky and there's a baby inside of it. That's an alien baby and it's got superpowers. It's different. It's totally Superman. But then the twist happens. What happens if that kid isn't a good kid? What if that kid who fell from the stars with the power of the gods is not a good kid, but a bad kid? What then? And that's what Brightburn looks at. So I watched that second trailer and my mouth's watering, guys. I cannot wait to watch this movie. I am salivating at the idea of it. The trailer was great, and I'm real happy with it. I cannot wait for it to hit. Okay, Carlos Rojas writes, "Congrats on the 500th episode, John." Thank you so much, Carlos. It is really weird to think about that. 500 episodes. Now, let's say, I've done John Campea shows that are under an hour. I've done a lot of the shows recently have been like an hour and a half, but if I had 500 hours, let's say they average out to an hour each. So 500 hours. If you strung all the John Campea show episodes back to back and you watch them Monday through Friday, it would take you a month to watch all the John Campea show episodes. It would take you 20.8 days straight. Or if you just watch Monday through Friday, it would take you about a month. That's kind of nutty. I've done a lot of these shows. I wonder how many in general I've done since the original. I'd be curious to find out how many shows I've done since I started the Movie Blog Audio Edition. The Movie Blog Audio Edition was the world's first movie-related podcast. As a matter of fact, I started the show before the term podcast was even coined properly yet. And we were the world's first movie kind of related podcast. And from what I did, Movie Blog, which then became Movie Blog Uncut, which then became For Your Consideration, which then became AMC Movie Talk, which then became Collider Movie Talk, and then it became the John Campea Show. I'm wondering if I added all those up, how many shows I've done. It's probably a number I don't even want to know. It's probably ridiculously big. But anyway, thank you so much, Carlos. I appreciate that. Gabriel Reed writes, "The new Brightburn trailer is haunting and terrifying." Gabriel, haunting and terrifying. Because if you've got Superman, who's a little child, and he's evil, what you gonna do? Seriously, what you going to do? Particularly if you don't live in the DCU and there's no other superhero. It's not like the MCU today where there's 18 superheroes in every corner at every 7-Eleven. He's unique in the world. What the hell do you do if a kid with the power of the gods is a bad kid and decides he wants to kill people? What are you going to do about it? I mean, it is terrifying. It's absolutely nuts. I cannot wait to see this thing. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, "It always fits eventually. Made them myself, they fit perfectly. It took me 5 viewings to catch that." I honestly don't know what we're talking about right now. It always fits eventually. I believe that's the Stan Lee line in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And are you talking about later in the movie when Gwen asks Miles about his new costume, he says, "Made it myself"? Did he say they fit perfectly? I'll be honest with you, I'm not thinking of it. I'm not putting 2 and 2 together there. Okay. Bullet 1510 writes, "Saw Captain Marvel last night. It's fun and funny, and I love what they did in the opening Marvel credit sequence. Admit, I got a tear in my eye. I don't want to give it away. Even though it's really not part of the movie, it's just the opening Marvel credit. You know how Marvel movies start with bum, 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 and you see the red Marvel logo, and then you see all the different characters, bum, 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 and, you know, Captain America coming through with the shield, and Hulk and Iron Man and Widow and all that kind of stuff. They do something kind of neat with the opening credit, the Marvel opening credit of this movie. That's all I'm going to say. And you're right, Bullet. I had the exact same reaction. I remember me and my wife, we turned to each other and it's like, wow, that was special. Like you guys will see what I'm talking about when you go see the movie. And I'm actually getting I'm getting chills. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about what they did. So you'll appreciate what they did. So thanks for sharing that, Bullet. And thanks for not spoiling it, by the way. Thanks for not spoiling it in the question. All right. Adam Martinez writes, Emma Watson is rumored to join Black Widow movie. Oh, I doubt that. I mean, I'd be all for it. I like Emma Watson as an actress. Let's see here. But who's rumoring it? I'd like to know that. Let's see. Now, I'm seeing a couple of places say it, but what's their source? Because I always tell you guys, right? Follow the source. Forget how many websites are running the headline. Go to those sites, find out who are they getting that information from. Let's see. And it's the hashtag show. Hashtag show is hit and miss with their rumors that they've said will come true. And they're really hit and miss. So if that's the place it's coming from, it's not a 100% miss. It's hit and miss. Sometimes the stuff they say comes true. Sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. So I don't know. I'll say this. I think Emma Watson is a good little actress. And if she is in the movie, I'm all for it just because adding talent is never a bad idea. She's talented. She's real talented. And I'd be okay with it. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath that that's true, though. But we'll see. It's possible. Totally possible. Let's wait and see. Jason Doolin writes, with all the box office focus on Captain Marvel, Us, Shazam, and Hellboy, ooh, this is a good question. Where do you see Dumbo fitting into all this? Will it get buried? Well, Hellboy ain't going to bury it because, let's be honest, Hellboy has never been a big money franchise. It's always made modest amounts of money. And I don't see this Hellboy doing all that much better. But let's move on to Dumbo. Dumbo is one I've been wondering about ever since they announced it. How's this movie going to do? Are people actually going to flock out to see Dumbo? Now, I'll say this. They've put out a couple of really compelling trailers. I think the trailers for Dumbo have been quite good. However, I hated what Tim Burton did with Alice in Wonderland. Hated that movie. Hated it. And to be honest, I'm not a big Tim Burton fan to begin with. But I absolutely detested his Alice in Wonderland. Thought it was just awful. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm very, very curious in the midst of all this stuff. Like, while everybody's talking about Lion King and Aladdin, is Dumbo really going to get that much attention? Look, for all I know, Dumbo's going to be $1 billion film. I simply don't know. You know what's weird, Jason? Here's the thing. I find myself in this position where I'm not going to be horribly surprised if it makes $1 billion. I'm not going to be terribly surprised if it makes like $250 million. That's how big of a gap there is right now. I just don't know. So that's going to be one of the interesting things for us to keep our eye on. I don't see it breaking 600 million. I don't know that I see it breaking 500 million. Which is fine. You can be a $500 million movie and be a big hit. That's one I've got no pulse on at all. I got an idea about Captain Marvel. I got an idea about Us. I've got an idea about Shazam. I got an idea about Hellboy. I got nothing on Dumbo. I have no idea. Like I said, it could be a complete disaster. Could be a huge hit. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that's just going to be one of the things I'm really interested in keeping my eyes on. All right. Jason Dolan follows up with, the cat lovers turned out for Bohemian Rhapsody. What? Was there a cat in Bohemian Rhapsody? Am I forgetting something? I might be forgetting something. I don't remember a cat in Bohemian Rhapsody. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about. Samuel Varg writes, I know Favreau has said it's not so, but for fun. Under or over 10% that Pedro Pascal's character in The Mandalorian in a twist is revealed to be Boba Fett? Nah. Nah, the timeline doesn't line up. Why would you do that when you could probably promote the show a lot better by calling it Boba Fett? Look, in this business, never say impossible. Because I've said things are impossible, and it's happened sometimes. So I've learned never to say anything's impossible. I wouldn't say it's a 0% chance, but I think it's such a bad chance that I would be very comfortable taking the way under on 10%. So I will take the well under. I do not believe in any way that's going to turn out to be Boba Fett. So no, I'm going to guess almost 0. Not 0, but almost. Maybe like 2% chance. I'd give it a 2% chance. And by the way, I don't want it to be Boba Fett at all. Like, finally, you're expanding the universe, giving us new characters to lead these things and new stories. I don't want it to be Boba Fett. I'll be really frank with you. I do not want it to be him, and I don't think they're going to make it him. So I'm going to say, at best, 2%. So I'll take the under on 10. Okay. Krieger119 writes, Google just sent me Captain Marvel post-credit leak. Sorry about that. I mean, look, all I can do again... And I encourage all of you as viewers to do this as well. I know I'm not the only, movie YouTuber or movie blogger or whatever you guys follow. So I call on everybody else who covers movies and on you, the viewers, to call on them as well. Do not put out spoiler stuff until after the movie opens in North America, please. This has happened a couple of times because what you do now, you have spoiled something significant, and you don't get to say, well, I only made my video for people who wanted to watch it. Yes, but what you've now done is you've armed trolls who haven't seen the movie. Now you've given them the information so they can go out across the interwebs and try to spoil it for everybody else because of you. So, simple fix, just don't disclose spoiler information until after it opens in North America. Is that so hard? Is that so hard? So I would encourage you guys as viewers to write to your favorite bloggers, YouTubers, whatever, anybody who covers movies, and just ask them, please do not share, don't contribute to the movie getting spoiled for people before it's even opened anywhere near them to watch it. Plead with the YouTubers you're watching, whatever, to please not do that. It's just better for the fan community if you don't. And I'm sorry that you got hit with that, Krieger. I really am, because that's unfortunate, because it was a great surprise. Because I knew nothing about it till I saw it, and it was a great surprise. And now it's been ruined for you, and I feel really badly about that, man. That sucks. Okay, next up. Where are we at? Luke Blackwell writes, John, what film do you prefer, Jungle Book 2016 or Mowgli 2018, and what's your opinion on both movies? I just answered an almost identical question to this on a companion video the other day. That's easy, because Jungle Book is outstanding and Mowgli, at best, is meh. Now, you may feel differently, and that's totally cool, but you're asking me my opinion, so I'll give you mine. Jungle Book is breathtakingly good. And I was excited about Mowgli for no other reason than Andy Serkis is directing it. I love Andy Serkis. I'm a huge Andy Serkis fan, so I was quite excited about it. Obviously, it was a big red flag when Warner Brothers dumped it on Netflix instead, because remember, it was supposed to be a theatrical release film. They gave up on it, didn't think it would, they thought it would get crushed. They dumped it on Netflix, and then I watched it on Netflix. I'm like, oh, this is why Warner Brothers dumped it, because it's not very good. So one is outstanding, one is not very good. So that's easy for me. Jungle Book, 10 miles above Mowgli, which sucks, again, because I love Andy Serkis, and I'll look forward to seeing what he does next, but Mowgli was a bit of a bad day at the office, in my opinion. Anyway, Sean Schaffner writes, with the DCU kind of rebooting, do you think we'll get a new Doomsday? I personally felt there was a lot of potential they didn't tap into with him in Batman vs. Superman. Well, I mean, Doomsday is an iconic figure in the DCU. He's the guy that kills Superman, right? There's so much you can do with something like that. And I even like the background of Doomsday and the mythology, how he was created. It's really interesting stuff. But they're not rebooting the DCEU. They're soft rebooting, but that means the universe is still there. So I actually think there's no chance they're going to bring us another Doomsday. I don't think there's any chance. Which, again, is unfortunate because Doomsday, there's so much you could do with the Doomsday. Narratively speaking, a Doomsday-type villain fixes a lot of potential problems. Anyway, I won't go into all those. But the fact that they've already used them and the fact that they are not rebooting them. I thought they should reboot, but they're not, and that's fine. There are multiple paths to victory here, not just one. I thought the reboot path would have been the most effective path. They've chosen another path. Fine. Here's hoping it works. They're off to a good start with Aquaman. But since they have not rebooted, I think that, honestly, Sean, the chances are extremely slim to none that they'll ever use Doomsday. I think that's pretty much a done deal. Hopefully they do, though. That would be great if they did. Javier Belmer writes, I've been recently catching up on films I missed. You're going to kill me for waiting so damn long. Spider-Verse, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Aquaman, Coco, Incredibles 2. Wow, what a marathon. Now I'm ready for Alita and Captain Marvel. Dude, and those are all good ones. Spider-Verse is the best one out of that list to me. Wreck-It Ralph 2 is solid. Aquaman's really solid. Coco is fantastic. Incredibles 2 is solid. And now I think you're going to enjoy Alita and Captain Marvel as well. So, hey man, sometimes we get behind. I get behind on movies. It's great though when you can have like a little marathon for yourself and it's like good movie after good movie after good movie after good movie to get yourself caught up on. So that's a nice one. That would be great if I could have a day where I haven't seen any of Spider-Verse, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Aquaman, Coco, Incredibles 2 at all, and I could watch them all back to back. It would spoil me because it would just make me think, wow, all movies are great. And they're not, but that's a good day of movie watching right there. I hope you enjoy Captain Marvel and Alita as well. All right. Trayvon Lang writes, Brightburn trailer. Brightburn trailer 2. Have you seen it? Yes, as a couple of people already asked. I absolutely have. Loved it. It took that sense, that creepiness, that haunting, that terrifying thing of the first trailer, and they just expanded on it. And again, as I've already kind of mentioned, I cannot wait to see this damn thing. Okay, Coas1708 writes, John, I don't remember the last comic book movie that you hated. You even like Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad. I did. I'm unapologetic about it. Look, I acknowledge Suicide Squad was a hot mess. I acknowledge that. It is a hot mess. But to me, there was enough entertainment value in it that I still walked out with a smile on my face. I had a good time. Is there stupid stuff in there? Yes. Could they have done it better? Absolutely. But I thought there was enough good stuff in there to have fun. And I had fun. And I don't apologize for that. And I like Batman vs. Superman. Also, had its issues. Not as many issues as Suicide Squad. But I had fun with it. I thought it was enjoyable. I think the last one that I really didn't like, because I just like comic book movies. I like comic book movies. But let me just bring up here a list here. Let me see what I can come up here. Which ones have I not liked? Well, there's Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, really didn't like. X-Men The Last Stand. I don't think it's a horrible train wreck of a movie, but clearly didn't like that one. Let's see. Iron Man 2 is an abomination. I don't like Iron Man 2 at all. I'm not a big fan of Watchmen. I know there are a lot of people that love Watchmen. I gotta admit, not a big fan of Watchmen. Let's see here. Thor the Dark World, I thought was okay. The first Ang Lee Hulk, yeah, that could have been better. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I thought had more upside than other people like to acknowledge, but yeah, it was a huge step down. I did not. There's one that the last comic book movie I really didn't like. It was 2000. When was it? Was it 2017 or 2016? Hold on a second. X-Men Apocalypse. IMDb. It's 2016. So I think the last major comic book movie that I really didn't like was probably X-Men Apocalypse. At first, I was like, okay, I don't hate it. It's just not that good. And then I watched it again. I'm like, nah, I hate this movie, which is really too bad. Let's see. Oh, Blade 3. That's going back a ways, but I hated that movie. Batman Forever. Let's see here. The Last Fantastic Four. Again, first act, not bad. Second two acts, horrible. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. And boy, then we're getting way back. Green Lantern was not good. Green Lantern was not good. The Ghost Riders weren't good. Elektra wasn't good. Jonah Hex was awful. You know, I'm looking at this one guy who's got like Punisher Warzone. I love Punisher. I don't care what anybody says. I think Punisher Warzone is awesome. I love that movie. I know a lot of people hate it. Fine. Hate it all you want. I thought Punisher Warzone was awesome. Let's see. I see Batman and Robin, the new Fantastic Four, and Catwoman is probably the worst one ever made. But yeah, I guess the most recent ones that I really didn't like, getting recent, would be X-Men Apocalypse. Green Lantern was a number of years ago. But X-Men Apocalypse. But I mean, like I said, I like comic book movies, so I'm predisposed to like them. So you got to be really bad. You got to be really bad for me not to have a good time in a comic book movie, because they're just celebrations of the imagination. I get a big kick out of those. But yeah, so the last one I really didn't like was X-Men Apocalypse. That's the last one I really didn't like. Okay. Jamel Taylor writes, who had it coming more, Ramsay, Bolton, or Jemma? Well, hey, listen. They at least made Jemma. There were times in Sons of Anarchy that she was very sympathetic. Like Jemma, who is Jax's mother in Sons of Anarchy, one of the great television characters ever. She did some nasty stuff. But then every once in a while she would do some really good stuff. I mean, and that was one of the brilliant things about Sons of Anarchy was there wasn't anybody really pure black and white. Black or white, I mean. It was, to coin a phrase from somebody else, it was 50 Shades of Grey, right? It wasn't black or white. It was 50 Shades of Grey when it came to their characters. So I will say Ramsay Bolton, who's the one who clearly had it coming more. That's the one I'm going with. Okay. CMJ World writes, have you seen the new Brightburn trailer? And if so, what did you think? Yes, I did, CMJ. Saw it, loved it, incredible. Can't wait to see it, built on the first one. I'm already blown away by it. I hope the movie lives, because listen, my hype level's getting kind of high. And that could set me up for a little bit of disappointment. I hope this movie does not disappoint, because I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. And then Ben Rayner writes, was the Joker teaser real or fake from 3 days ago? I think it was fake. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even look into it. I just assumed it was fake. And if it's not fake, it doesn't matter. I really don't care. But I think it was fake. But don't take my word on that. That's just me making a wild guess. But yeah, I don't think it was legit. But it might have been. I just don't really think it matters all that much. All right, guys. That will do. We are now all caught up on all the questions from earlier today that we didn't have time to get around to. Thank you so much for being here, contributing the questions, supporting the show. I really appreciate it, guys. Hey, guys, listen, I want to make sure you know about this, too. I'm banging on this a lot lately. There is a new way to submit your topics and questions to the John Campea Show to be main topics. It used to be that you used to email them in. Now, instead of emailing them in, you can just hop on. Where do we go here? Here we are. I got the wrong thing up. Look at that. I've got the absolute wrong thing up. That's not it. That's the old way. That was the old way. I didn't bring the graphic in here yet. Let me see if I can bring this graphic in here. Here we go. The new way. Now, the old way, just a comparison, used to be that you would email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. However, it started getting a little tricky keeping everything organized. So there is a new way. I've relaunched the johnCampeaShow.com website. So if you want to submit a topic or a question for the John Campea Show to be one of the main topics, go to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. And when you get to that page, you'll see a form. Fill out that form and hit submit. And then your question comes into me. And maybe you will see your topic or question as one of the main topics on the John Campea Show. By the way, guys, a little bit of a hint. 9 out of every 10 that come in are comic book related questions, comic book movie related questions. So if you send in a comic book movie related question, you have a much smaller chance of getting your question picked because it's you against everybody else. If you send in non-comic book related questions, you have a better chance of getting your question on the show, especially if you're asking about new news items that have come up that day. So if your questions are relevant to news stories, we'll take some bigger scope questions sometimes too. It doesn't always have to be news stories. But if you write in a question and a point of view about a current news story or one that just broke that day or whatever that's not comic book related, you have a better chance of getting your questions on. But by all means, still feel free to send your comic book ones. We always select some comic book ones too. I'm just saying you got a better chance of getting yours on if it's non-comic book related and if it's like news within the last 12 to 24 hours. Those are the ones that get the most air on the show. So there, I just gave you a little bit of a tip. Okay, guys, That will do it for me for now for this installment of the companion videos. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be back again tomorrow. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.